Hello and welcome to another Writerly Witterings with me, Michael Jex, the tea drinking author who's got a cup of coffee right now. Today we have an exciting pair of things to look at, which are some strange devices from a company I've been aware of for many, many years. It's a firm that was originally a Kickstarter program, I believe. I'm not absolutely certain. They started off making a strange everyday carry biro, sort of ballpoint pen, and they've diversified now. So they're doing pens and pencils, they're doing fountain pens, and they're even doing watches. Well, I've got my watch, so I don't need a watch, thank you very much. But it's a very interesting looking set of products, so I'm going to show them to you. Don't forget, if you like the video, then do please hit the like button because it pushes Writerly Witterings up the YouTube analog listings. And if you haven't done it already, it'd be very nice if you decided to click that little subscribe button and hit the bell so you're notified when a new video comes out. And if you're interested, you can buy me a coffee or go to Patreon and support me there. Any support's gratefully received because it does take a certain amount of time to make these videos and assistance is always good. On the pen and pencil I'm going to be reviewing today, if you're not interested in one or the other, I've got chapters set up so you can jump straight to the point you want to have a look at, whether it's the device itself or whether it's going straight to look at the writing sample, etc. So that should make your life a little bit easier, in theory. And apart from that, I'm also going to be talking about some delightful ink, because I've got to fill the pen with something. Anyway, thanks a lot for this, and let's go and have a look at these things, shall we? So what are we looking at today? Well, this is the company, Bastion. It's an American firm, and it has one of those little sales lines which I really like, which is that they're designed in America and they're made in America. This is one of those rare companies that isn't actually manufactured in China just because they've got a cheap workforce there. I rather like that. They started as a Kickstarter campaign, I believe, making what they called bolt-action ballpoint pens. And I rather liked the idea of them because they had a knob on the side and you pulled the knob down, turned it to the side and released it, and it would bring the ballpoint down ready to write. Simple design, but actually very, very pleasant. And that was very successful. I like saying very clearly. It was successful. And so after some time they diversified into making not just ballpoints, but pencils. And more recently, I think it's more recently, they've moved into making fountain pens as well. And they make them out of a variety of different types of metal. They use aluminium, stainless steel, they use carbon fibre and titanium. In fact, recently they've even brought out a new type made of zirconium. Now, I don't know what zirconium is, but apparently it's harder than stainless steel. It's incredibly difficult to make, and so it costs 4 times as much as a standard aluminium. So let's have a look at these. What have we got here? First of all, in this box, very nice packaging, by the way. I know I'm boring about packaging, but I like the fact that some companies do spend a time and effort to show that they are proud of what they're making by giving you nice packaging to send you their product in. This is a fountain pen. Not only is it a nice fountain pen, it comes with its own little felt covering. That is pretty. Here is a pencil. You get pencil leads, and inside your bag is a pencil. Now I'm going to talk about both of these. I'm going to talk about the pencil first, and then I'll come on to the pen. I'll talk about what I like, some of the things I'm not so keen on, and we'll see where we go from there. So, let's crack on. Right, here is a pencil. This is the aluminium version, and I really rather love it. It's gorgeous. It's got a slightly roughened texture, but I would just say be aware that although it's roughened, it is still quite slippery in my hands. I have this problem that I've had to have an operation on my elbow, and it means that my grip has been particularly weak, which is why I had to have an operation on my elbow, a cubital tunnel release. You'll be keen and excited to hear, which means nothing to anybody at all, I'm quite sure. But never mind, I've had this thing done. Now, this is a pencil which is quite a decent size. It is, in fact, let us have a look, 14 centimetres, which means basically 5.5 inches long. In terms of diameter, it's pretty stonkingly huge, to be honest. It is... Let's see how big this is. I've only got this in millimetres, being a sort of European chap. It's about 12 mils, so 1.2 centimetres in diameter, which means it is big. It is not a lightweight pen in appearance or in any other way. How does it work? Well, first of all, you get the micrometer out of the way. It works quite simply by pushing down on this big knob. 1, 2, and that gives me enough lead then to write with. And then as you're writing, as the lead wears away, you just hit the knob again and more lead will be dispensed. Very simple design, really elegant. I just love that sort of design. The ballpoint pens have a U-shaped cut here, so you push down, push to the side, release it, and then it uses a Parker pen type of refill, and it'll write for as long as one of those things. This is a slightly different approach, but really elegant. Now, when I received this, I hadn't got the faintest idea how you operated it. So I thought the first thing I'd better do is open it up and have a look. So, you unscrew the end, and inside you find there is this Schmidt refill thing. As I understand it, the pencil will take this style of refill, which is 0.7 mil, or it will take a 0.5 mil. The refill size is the same and it will fit the pencil perfectly happily. So you buy one of these pencils, you can then fit any type of refill you want. My immediate problem was, as soon as it arrived, I thought, how on earth do you get the pencil leads inside there? I've had pencils in the past where you have to load them with fresh leads by poking them right up the end, which is not ideal. It's a pain and you keep breaking leads when you're trying to do it. And I thought, oh hell, that's what's going to be required here. No, it's not, in fact. There's two problems with that approach. The first is that it's very difficult and fiddly, and if you're old and you've got dodgy nerves like me, then it's not easy to do. The second problem is you've only got one pencil lead. You can never see how much lead you've got in the pencil, and when it runs out, basically you're buggered. So I don't like that approach. And while looking at this, I thought there must be, with something that diameter, there must be an easier way of getting leads in. And I pulled the end and it came off. And inside, you then discover you've got a bunch of leads. I don't know how many it'll actually take, but it's more than one. And the great thing is that means you can easily take it out with you when you're going out and about. And if you use up the lead that you had in there in the first place, it doesn't matter. I do like the fact these Schmidt's refills have a screw at the top, a screw thread, and the pencil is designed to take that thread so that when you've got it with you, it's actually rock steady. It won't rattle and irritate. It just keeps going. Whoops. Apparently there's a spring inside. I hadn't noticed that before. That will explain why I found it difficult sometimes to get the thing back into place, because I hadn't got it pushed up on the spring. You learn something new every time you do a little review like this, you know. Screw it up tightly. There's a little rubber or silicone ring inside there to stop any moisture getting in case of problems. This isn't watertight, I shouldn't think, so I'm not sure how much use that silicone ring is. But there you have one very elegant pencil with a load of spare leads. Let's move on and look at something else. Now, here we have something a little bit different. It is another Bastion. And I have to say, I think this is quite astonishingly elegant and refined looking. This is the fountain pen. Looking at it from the outside, it has one thing which I think is just delightful, and that is, you can possibly see it on the camera, I can't in daylight see where the cap meets the pen. It's a beautiful, beautiful bit of design. It has a lovely rounded top here. It has this cylindrical shape coming down to a taper with another rounded end at the back. The clip is bright stainless steel with two large bolts of a sort of star-shaped pattern, whatever you call it, I don't know. And the only thing on the pen is this saying Bastion on the side, which is not engraved, it's just white on this black background. They make these and the pencils out of all types of different material. They make them in aluminium, stainless steel, carbon fibre, titanium. This is one of the aluminium, and it's got a really delightful feel to it. It feels slightly textured, very slightly, nothing much. The clip, like the pencil, is incredibly stiff. There's no way this is going to fall out of your pocket if you have it clipped onto your shirt or pocket or anything else. So, let's open it up. As soon as you twist it, you can see a very slight break here, which is quite far down compared to most fountain pens. But it's almost invisible when the pen's shut up. Even now, having shown you where the gap is, the quality of the manufacture, the quality of the fit there is just stunning. Really, really beautiful. So you unscrew it, and you'll see the cap is actually quite long, and the pen is actually quite short. If I give some examples here, this is a Visconti Breeze. It's about the same, but the big difference is that with this you cannot post it. There is no way that's going to post at all. It's very, very loose. So internally, the pen, you've still got the back end here, screw thread with a little rubber seal there, so even if you have an accident, you're not going to get ink all over your pocket. You have a beautifully machined section here, which has got these nice cutouts so it doesn't slip and slide in your hand at all. That's really neatly done. And then it's got a nib which is made by, and I've forgotten the name and I didn't write down this on my notes, so I'm just going to check this. It is a Moonman super quality nib, Stainless steel, obviously it's not gold. This is, I would say, a fine. Feels very good to write with. It is slightly more toothy than some pens. Certainly a lot more toothy than my Visconti Breeze. It's a lot more toothy than my Metropolitan from Pilot. But that's not to say it's bad. It's a nice one. How big is this pen? Well, if we look at it without the cap on, it's just over, I'd say it's 4 5/8 long. If it's capped, he said quickly, it is about 5 1/4, 5 5/16 long, which is in metric just about 13.5, 13.6 centimeters, and with the cap there, the cap is 7.5 centimeters, and the pen, which is rather more relevant, is just about 11.75 centimeters. So a good size, not huge, good size. In terms of diameter, let's get the micrometer out again. The main bulk of the pen is 12 mils, and if we go to the section, it's 9.5. And it's all CNC cut and designed, so basically rather lovely. In terms of ink, I really enjoyed last week using Autumn Forest. And one thing I didn't mention about Autumn Forest from Dominant Industries, I'm going to use this again because I need to do more work, but I hadn't realised it's a glittering, shimmering ink. And the effect on paper was rather lovely. So I'm going to use this again today. Give it a good shake so that the particles are mixed all through the ink. And then if we unscrew the pen, it has a simple cartridge converter type of arrangement, which means you can fill this using ink in the cartridge converter, or you can take the cartridge converter out and simply put in a universal ink cartridge of any type. One thing I do like is this is well designed. Look at this cartridge converter. You can see there is a little coil of metal that moves up and down. That's because every now and again, when people make fountain pens and use a cartridge converter, the surface tension of the ink inside here will sometimes mean that all of the ink stays at the back and there's an air bubble at the front, so that when you try to write, it doesn't work. That spring is a bit like a ball bearing in a Pilot type of ink cartridge. And what it does is it breaks down the surface tension of the ink so the ink can flow back down to the front again. So every time you move your pen around and that spring moves up and down, you have more chance of getting the ink to the nib, which is after all what we need. Here we go. Just fill that with some ink. Put the lid back on my bottle of ink before I throw it all over the floor, as usual. And now here is a delightful page of Tomo River. '52 GSM. Now you probably heard there the sound of the nib floating over the paper. It is toothy. But it feels really good in the hand. In my enthusiasm for this test, I completely forgot I had to wipe the section clean of the ink after I filled it from my lovely little bottle of Autumn Forest. Never mind. So there you have two really neat pens. Now, I did say I'd talk a little bit about what I liked. What I love about the pen in particular is the look. I love the fact that the join of the cap to the body is almost completely invisible. This is the black aluminium version. I did ask for the aluminium version because with my hand the way it is and the nerves not functioning, it's a bit difficult trying to handle something that's heavier. The pencil I find absolutely delightful. I really do like that simple action there. You can see the lead coming out. I like the fact you can load it up with leads and it will keep writing for a hell of a long time. I like the appearance of this too. My only slight reservation is it's quite a lot fatter than I would normally expect, and that means with my bad nerves it's a little bit more difficult for me to grip it and write with it, but that's just a personal thing. What I am finding is that it's really excellent for sketching because the 0.7mm lead is a little bit more forgiving than a 0.5mm. I can hold it at the back and it gives me a lot of what am I trying to say? It's a lot more fluid and free in the way that I can sketch. I can sketch more loosely with it, is what I'm trying to say. The join of the main body to the section here is a bit more obvious with this shiny silver. I think if I had the choice in future, I'd go for the black one for both because it's a bit like a 1960s Jag E-type or an old Mark 10. If you can't see the join, it almost looks as though they've made it from one solid piece of metal. And that's how these should appear, I think. They're such a beautiful bit of design. They're designed for everyday carry, they're designed to be robust, they're designed to be easy to slip in your pocket and just take with you all day, every day. And by God, they really work. I'm starting to use this Bastion almost as an everyday carry. Whenever I go out with the dog on a walk or anything, I will have these two in my pocket so I can sketch when I'm going and I can write when I'm going. Absolutely perfect. Really good size, really good weight. I like them. And so there you have it. Two really rather beautiful pens. In particular the fountain pen, obviously because I'm a fountain pen addict, but very impressed. It's delightful to use, feels good in the hand, writes superbly well. I love the little coiled bit of metal in the cartridge converter unit, which means that it will keep flowing all the time. And I just love that look. It's so sleek, you can't see where the join is. Just fabulous bit of design. And that is that. Now, the only other thing I've got to mention, of course, is that for those of you who are interested, the latest in the Canelo Last Templar series is now out. The whole series is 32 books, so you've got a fair bit of reading to do if you haven't tried them. But the nice thing is they're now not just e-books, they're starting to reprint the paperback editions. Here's the latest, Moorland Hanging. And if you haven't read it, you really should get hold of a copy urgently because they're very good books. And that is about it for now. Hope that was interesting. Do please let me know in the comments below if you've got any questions or anything. In the meantime, next week I think I'm going to be going back to Dominant Industries and looking at some of their other inks. It's going to be tempting to go to Lake or Tanzanite, Moroccan Red, or their purple colour. Don't know which. I might do one or two at the same time. That'd be quite fun. So, thanks all for watching. Speak to you soon and take care. Bye.